world of wine.
Okay.
help you to learn about the influence of natural factors on wine, to understand Chardonnay and Pinot Noir grape varieties, to understand the notion of terroir, which is called climat in Burgundy, and also Burgundy wine classification, to learn the winemaking process for white and for red wine, and to understand how winemakers influence the style of wine. You will also learn about biodynamic agriculture, and we will compare it to conventional agriculture. And of course, we will learn how to taste wine like a professional through the 5 wines you received in your wine box. And our experience is interactive, and we encourage you to participate. If you have specific expectations, I invite you to send a message through our chat, and I will try during the session to answer most of your questions. Feel free to raise them up here anytime. We have Amici here with us today. Thank you, Amici, for your message. And we also have Romain and Camila. Okay, thank you guys to be here. Let's start. I'm going to guide you through the region so you can understand where Burgundy is located and what are the main natural factors influencing the style of the wines we produce here.
By high-speed rail, just 1.5 hours from Paris and 2 hours from Geneva. There are 5 deliciously distinct wine-growing regions in Burgundy: Chablis and Grand Auxerrois, Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, Côte Chalonnaise, and Mâconnais. The main grapes cultivated in Burgundy are Chardonnay for white wines and Pinot Noir for red wines. Burgundy enjoys a temperate continental climate, perfect for viticulture and wine aficionados alike. Winter tends to be cold and crisp. Spring is gentle, but with a risk of late frost. Summer is hot and dry, and early autumn is usually mild and sunny. Overall, the temperature is cool, even on summer nights, and this is the key for bringing acidity, finesse, and complexity to our wines. There are 3 natural advantages for the vineyards of Burgundy. They are planted on fairly steep hillsides, from 200 to 500 meters in height, protecting the vines from heavy winds and rain. These hillsides experience only 700 to 800 millimeters of rain each year, substantially less than the typical 1,000 millimeters that falls west of the hills. Most of the vineyards face.
Before moving to our first wine tasting, I want to come back on a few natural factors that are key to understand our first wine, which is a Meursault. The wine is made from Chardonnay grape only. Chardonnay grapes and the name Chardonnay originated from a Chardonnay village in Mâconnais, in Burgundy. The earliest known reference to Chardonnay wine was written by monks in the year 1330. Chardonnay is the most planted white grape variety in the world, thanks to its high reputation of Chardonnay-based Burgundy wines. Chardonnay is used from the production of sparkling wines in Champagne region, but its reputation comes from Burgundy, where Chablis offers light body, unoaked, fruit and mineral wines, and Côte de Beaune offers full body, complex white wines aged in oaks with tropical fruits, citrus fruits, butter, cream, toast, and sometimes nutty flavors. It's cultivated in the village of Meursault, which enjoys a moderate continental climate, which is ideal to bring ripeness and to keep acidity in the grapes. 2015 was a warm vintage with a very hot summer, producing a wine that has a capacity to age for more than 10 years. Look at your tasting guide, and we're going to go through our tasting together. For this tasting, we are going to focus on aromas and flavors. So on your tasting guide, On the left-hand side, you have all the aromas and flavors you can encounter when tasting wine. And on the right-hand side, you find the structure of our tasting. So let's start. Let's grab our glass and let's look at it. Let's look at the appearance first. Our wine is pale lemon. That's its color. On the nose, we have a very nice citrus, peaches flavors that comes from primary aromas. So that's really coming from what's happening on the terroir, which is the climate and the grape variety. But on top of that, we also have secondary aromas like butter, cream. Yes, you're right, Romain. We also find some spiciness, some vanilla, some cinnamon. And tertiary notes, I agree with you, Amici. We have a little bit of nuttiness, some almonds. All right, let's taste. On the palate, the wine is dry. There is no residual sugar. Then we will look at the acidity. The acidity is quite high, which is very common in Burgundy because we have cool nights that help to maintain acidity in the grape and then in the wine. Alcohol level is medium. And then let's look at the body. This is quite specific for Burgundy wine. We have a white wine with full body. It's very creamy, mouth-filling, and it's very rich. Do you all agree with me? I have a comment from Camila, who is telling me that she finds the wine which is quite light. Actually, no. If you compare it with a wine from Chablis, or if you compare it with another wine coming from Alsace, a Riesling, for example, you will see that the wine is very silky, very thin. Here we have much more texture. It's more velvety. And that comes from winemaking, and we are going to talk about that later on. And then you taste it, we find the flavors that we already detected on the nose, and we are going to look at the length. The length is the time the flavor stays in your mouth. Is it long? Is it short? It's quite long. I agree with you, Romain. Ouais, attends, faudrait que je...
No, let's see how it's made.
The Chardonnay grape's journey to becoming a white wine of Burgundy begins with the grape harvest in autumn, before the first frost. After harvest, grapes are sorted, destemmed, and promptly pressed into juice. The sugars from this juice will be converted into alcohol through the process of fermentation. It's a pretty straightforward equation. Thanks to the magic of fermentation, sugar plus yeast equals alcohol and carbon dioxide. Each winemaker has their own style. Some will choose to ferment their wine in oak barrels, but most will choose non-reactive cement or stainless steel tanks for the initial fermentation. Each choice the winemaker makes will affect the finished product. Oak tends to add a spicy character as well as micro-oxygenation, while non-reactive vessels yield a more neutral, cleaner flavor. After the first fermentation, it's time to age and bottle the wine. In Burgundy, this aging process typically lasts from 12 to 24 months. It's a long and costly process that is essential to developing the sophistication and subtlety that white Burgundy wines are prized for. The wine is aged in oak barrel produced in Burgundy from locally grown oak trees. A single oak barrel can cost from $800 to as much as €1,000. The wine now undergoes a second malolactic fermentation that adds more complexity to the wine, softening acids and bringing more texture to the palate with creamy, buttery flavors. The choice of oak also affects the flavor of our developing wine. New oak imparts sweet and spicy notes, while old oak will add a nutty, almond character.
What is really specific in Burgundy in terms of winemaking is the aging time in the barrels. It influences the wine in a few ways. It micro-oxygenates the wine. This helps the wine to develop more complexity in terms of aromas and flavors. And also, it helps to bring acidity, alcohol, and aromas and flavors. Everything in balance. In the barrel, there is a natural fermentation happening. It's called the malolactic fermentation. It softens the acidity and also brings lactic flavors such as butter and cream. Now it's time to look at our tasting guide and taste the second wine together. This time we will focus on the structure of the wine. First, let's look at the appearance of the wine. We could compare with the first wine. Here we have a Ladois Premier Cru Les Grechons. And as we can see, the color is more intense. It is, I would say it's a medium lemon color, but with a golden rim. That's for the color. Then let's look at the nose. On the nose, we have much more intense aromas, but it's also very delicate and well defined. We have citrus fruits. We also have peaches, a little bit of quince. That's for primary aromas. Now I would like you to raise a few aromas you also detect in the wine. They could be secondary or they could be tertiary. What do I get? I get vanilla. Yes, I agree with you, there is vanilla, and vanilla is coming from the oak aging. And we also have butter and cream, that's true. This is coming from the malolactic fermentation, as we say. All right, you're getting good. Let's do the palate. So the wine is dry as well. Actually, in Burgundy, we only produce dry wine. There is no sweet wine. That means the fermentation is complete. There is no more residual sugar. The acidity, it's high as well. This is also something Burgundy wines share in common because of the climate. The alcohol level is medium. What about the body? Is there any difference with the first wine? Do you find the body lighter or heavier? I get lighter from Amici and Camilla, and I get heavier from Romain. Actually, I would agree with Amici and Camilla. It's actually lighter. It's much more in finesse. It's not as rich as our first Meursault. So the body is medium plus. And then what about the length? I find it very long, even longer than our Meursault. Maybe why? Because it's a Premier Cru. Premier Cru commands a higher price on the market, and we also have wines that are more complex, more in finesse, and which have a greater length. So overall, it's more balanced, it's more qualitative, it's longer, it's more pleasurable. So in conclusion, you may like the wine, or you may not, but to evaluate its quality, you will draw a conclusion on the balance of the wine, its intensity, complexity, and length. If you can tick all these criteria, you probably are tasting an outstanding wine.
Questions?
Okay, I'm going to raise the first question.
No questions. We're going to transition into the Burgundy climates.
We are about to transition to Burgundy climate. J'adore parce que je me vois et je vous regarde, en fait, je suis non, il faudrait absolument qu'on récupère le making of. Ah, c'est fou que je dise ça? Non, pas tout de suite. Ah si!
Let's go.
So, where does the difference between these two first one? Attends, c'est quoi, c'est la question ça? Bon, attends.
Ça, c'est la suite du script, normalement.
Ok. Ah oui, attends, pardon. Ok. The difference lies in the terroir, called climat in Burgundy. In Burgundy, terroir refers to the unique and authentic interaction between plants, an ensemble of natural elements, and hard work by winemakers. It is the basis for entire AOC system. Burgundy is composed of hundreds of climats, reflecting the characteristics of each plot, and making up a unique mosaic of vineyards. In Burgundy, there is a multiple of soils with more or less limestone and clay content. The climats are the ultimate expression of terroir in Burgundy. So Burgundy has 1,247 vineyards of distinct areas to grow vine. Each one has a different soil composition. A geological marvel, the soils vary dramatically from one plot to another. In terms of wine classification, in 1855, inspired naturalist and botanist Jules Laval wrote a classification of Burgundy wines. And the same year, Bordeaux established as well the celebrated classification of its chateau. The difference between Bordeaux and Burgundy region is mainly the fact that in the Burgundy region, the terroir is classified, not the chateau. As you can see on the pyramid, almost half of Burgundy wine are regional wine, with grapes coming from the entire region. Within this category, you also find sparkling wines that we call Crémant de Bourgogne or Bourgogne Mousseux, and wine made from other grapes than Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, Bourgogne Aligoté with Aligoté grape, and Bourgogne Passe tout grain, which is usually a blend of Pinot Noir with Gamay. Then, another half is village wine, wine with the name of a village on it. We already tasted two of them, a Meursault and a Ladois. Only 10% of them have been classified as more premium with the mention of Premier Cru only. That was the case on our Ladois Premier Cru. So you find the name of the appellation, which is the village, plus the mention Premier Cru. Finally, a very small proportion of our wine, less than 2%, are Grand Cru. They have their specific appellation name. Échezeaux, Corton, Musigny, Chambertin, Montrachet are some examples. They are high quality wines and they command premium price.
Wine tasting number 3 and 4.
Okay, now let's move to red wine and go to the wine tasting number 3 and 4. Let's... oui, bon, là, il y a une vidéo.
No.
No? Okay. Let's illustrate the climat and this wine classification with these two wines, and we are going to compare how two different terroirs taste. They are made from the same grape variety, which is Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir grape is one of the earliest variety, of grape to be cultivated with the purpose of making wine. As early as the 1st century, ancient Romans were producing wine using the Pinot Noir grape. Pinot Noir is a complicated grape to grow. It's very fragile. It has a very thin skin, explaining why the color of the wine is light, and also tannins are very delicate and silky. In general, it offers aromas of red fruits, and with maturity, wines develop a complex bouquet of sweet spices, forest floor, mushrooms, and gamey flavors. Okay, let's do our tasting for wine number 3 and 4. They are coming from 2 different appellations. One is a village one. This is Ennui Saint-Georges. And one is actually a premier cru, which is the Volnay. So let's look at them both and compare the colors. On wine number 3, we have a deeper color. It's still pale, but it's also ruby and with more concentration in the color. On the right glass, it's paler, and the color is also moving to garnet. So that's the difference. Actually, these 2 wines are coming from the same vintage, so it just means that the concentration of the grape juice was different, so it gives different color. Now, let's put our nose on wine number 3. What do we find? Please send me a couple of primary aromas you get in this Nuit Saint-Georges. Whoa, I get flowers. This is really nice. Don't forget flowers. It's harder to detect, but yes, I agree, we have peonies, and then we obviously have red fruits, strawberries, raspberry. It feels ripe. And do you get any secondary or tertiary aroma? Yes, I agree. There is this strong gamey flavors. It's a little bit wild. This is tertiary. It's coming from the terroir and it develops over time. Time to taste now. The wine is dry, the acidity is quite high. What about the tannins and the body? This is quite different from the first 2 white wine we tasted. Tannins are very soft and silky. I agree with you, Amici. And the body is actually quite light. You might feel that there is more texture, but actually, if you compare to other wines in other regions, in Italy, in Spain, in Bordeaux, it's very delicate and the texture is very thin. This is typical Pinot Noir. As we said, the skins are very thin, so that's why we get a pale color, that's why we get lower tannins and also a lighter body. In terms of flavors, do you detect anything else than what we said on the nose? Oh, somebody is writing me, he gets sweet spices. That's true. That wine was aged in oak, so we also have cinnamon, a little bit of cloves. I agree with you, Camilla. Now let's compare with wine number 4. Wine number 4, on the nose, is actually much more fruity and spicy. We don't get these flower notes, and we don't get these wilder notes. So we have sweet spices, cinnamon. Also, on the nose it feels riper. It feels like strawberry jam, raspberry jam. On the palate, it's dry, high acidity. We still have low tannins. It's very silky and smooth. The quality of the tannins in this glass are much softer, rounder. The tannins we say are fine-grained. So it gives a very velvety texture that's very enjoyable. In terms of flavors, we get the fruits, we get the spices, and also the main difference with the wine number 3 is I find it way longer. It lasts longer in the mouth. And again, it's a matter of quality. The glass number 4 is a premier cru. so it commands higher price, but it's also much more enjoyable and giving you longer flavors and also acidity, refreshing notes in the palate. So that's it for these two tasting. So now we are going to talk about red wine making.
But how does the winemaker produce a red wine? The biggest difference with white winemaking is the timing of the juice pressing. With red wine, the pressing won't happen until the fermentation is complete. Because the skins are not removed right away, they will impart color and characteristic flavor. Winemakers will run a few pumping overs or remontage, or punch down, which is known as pigeage. Agitating the stems, skins, and juice helps to extract color and tannins. And it is part of the winemaker's craft to know just when to use these techniques for the perfect balance. Once fermentation is complete, the juice in the tank is known as free-run wine. Now the red wine can finally be pressed. Once pressed, it is time to age your wine, and in Burgundy, that means aging in oak for the micro-oxygenation and spicy flavors it imparts. As for white wine, the winemaking process lasts between 12 to 24 months. The choice of oak affects the flavor of the wine. New oak imparts sweets and spicy notes reminiscent of clove and cinnamon, while old oak will soften the tannins and add a softer, mellow character. Oak barrels can be lightly toasted, which strengthens the surface without affecting the flavor of the wine. Or they can be medium to highly toasted to bring smokiness and cigar-like flavors to the wine. Each winemaker can choose to combine wines from different stages in the process or from different aging vessels to create their own unique and perfect blend. Then it's time for bottling.
Our wine journey finishes at home, in Pommard, in the Clos Marais-Monge. Pommard is located in the north of Côte de Beaune and is an appellation dedicated to the production of red wine. No white wine is labeled Pommard. In Clos Marais-Monge, there are 7 microclimats within this single clos, which is 20 hectares in size. The plots, they all have a name. We have Simone, Chantrerie, l'Épaule, Grand Champ, 75 rangs, Micot, and Émilie. Each microclimat has its own distinct soil type and microclimate. There are a total of 200,000 vines in Clos Marais-Monge. The vines range in age from 30 to 111 years old. Chantrerie is the oldest. It's planted in 1906. And Émilie is the youngest, planted in 2014. From the 7 microclimats in Clos Marais-Monge, Château de Pommard produces 3 clos wines. Vivant Micot is a blend of fruit from the younger vines in the clos. Clos Marais-Monge is a blend of fruit from the more mature vines in the clos, including Simone. And Simone, the première cuvée. It's produced only from the fruit of the single plot Simone. And what makes it very special is the way people in the vineyard take care of the wines. They follow biodynamic agriculture principles. But what is biodynamic agriculture? Let us explain to you with this short animation. So we had the chance to meet Emmanuel Sala, who is the winemaker of Château de Pommard, and we asked him about the wines.
Second good transition. I had an issue with the video of
more about the maturation of a wine in oak.
of CDP.
Ce n'est pas d'apporter une touche boisée ou toastée au vin, enfin l'intérêt principal, c'est surtout d'apporter une fraction d'oxygène tout au long de l'élevage du vin qui va permettre au tanin d'évoluer favorablement, de s'arrondir. Dans le jargon, on dit se polymériser. Vous avez remarqué que les vins jeunes asséchaient la bouche parce que les tanins ont cette propriété de précipiter les protéines. Et en se polymérisant pendant l'élevage, et après tout au long de sa vie, plus le vin sera vieux, plus les tanins vont perdre ses facultés. C'est pour ça que les vieux vins sont souvent beaucoup plus souples que les jeunes. Mais ne serait-ce que déjà travailler avec du bois, ça arrondit déjà énormément les tanins. Deuxième partie, c'est comme pour les vins blancs, ce que j'expliquais tout à l'heure, élevage sur lit. Les vins qui vont rester 20 mois, 22 mois sur leur lit, il y a une autolyse, les lits se désagrègent et libèrent dans le vin ce qu'on appelle des macromolécules qui vont apporter aussi bien au niveau aromatique qu'en complexité qu'en gras, quelque chose de beaucoup plus intéressant. Et puis traditionnellement, la fermentation malolactique aussi se fait en tonneau en Bourgogne.
So in the end, Manu, a little bit of philosophy. Do you think making wine is an exact science or is it more a state of art?
L'œnologie est une science exacte, mais l'œnologie n'est rien dans l'élaboration des vins. L'œnologue est au docteur, donc, et quand on a besoin d'un docteur, c'est qu'on est malade. Donc l'œnologie peut être une science exacte, la viticulture et la vinification, absolument pas. Et plus j'y vieillis, plus je me rends compte que c'est loin, mais vraiment loin d'être une science exacte. Après, un art, faudrait être vraiment d'une prétention sans nom pour se prétendre artiste. Il y a un grand artiste, alors je ne sais pas si c'est le grand architecte de la nature ou si c'est la nature elle-même, l'artiste, mais en tout cas, le vigneron, il est juste un interprète. Alors on essaye d'interpréter le plus juste possible.
So, time for our last tasting. Let's take our systematic tasting approach. This time we are going to taste the wine, and I will also give you a few tips and tricks in terms of pairing our wine with food. So, first, let's look at the color. The color is deeper. We can see there is much more concentration in the color. And also, the wine is still young, we have a nice ruby color. On the nose, if we compare to the first two Pinot Noirs, we also feel much more intensity and concentration on the nose. This wine is the first vintage that was produced biodynamically in the Clos Marais Monge. In terms of aromas, we get red fruits, but we also get a little bit of black fruits, black currants. We also have green notes underlying, a little bit of blackcurrant buds, tomato leaves. But then it's not overpowered, but we can feel the oak, the impact of oak. How can we feel the impact of oak? Yes, we have sweet spices, that's true. We have elegant notes of saffron, for example, and what else? We have oakiness, we feel the toastiness. It's not really smoky, but a little bit toasty. I like actually the expression of the spiciness and also the oakiness. It's feel a little bit like oriental spices, like sandalwood, for example. Do we have any tertiary aromas? There is a little bit of moss on the ground, that's true. It's actually a wine which is very complex. You get primary, secondary, tertiary aromas, Everything is well defined in the glass, and it makes your experience much more interesting than just from a simple wine. Let's taste. That's not a surprise, the wine is dry. The acidity is also quite high. What about the body and the tannins? I agree with you, Amici, there is much more tannins. Actually, we could see already from the color, there is more extraction, more concentration, and we also feel it in terms of tannins. If you have a doubt, tannins actually stays around your teeth, around your palate, and it gives a thicker texture. So also, in terms of body, it's not as light as the first two wines. It's a little bit more medium body. And what about the flavor? Oh, how pleasurable is this wine? We find all the aromas that we had on the nose on the palate. We call it the flavors, and it stays very long. And it's not only the aromas and flavors that stay long, but also the refreshing effect of the acidity, and also the texture of the tannins. So basically, what kind of food could we pair it with? We could pair it with game, wild doe, wild birds. We could pair it with oriental plates, a couscous or tagine, but also Chinese, roasted pork, for example. Or a very traditional dish that is paired in Burgundy is called bœuf bourguignon. It's beef that is stewed in red wine. Back to China, we could also enjoy this wine with roasted duck, which would work very well with the spiciness of the wine. And of course, you can enjoy it with a good piece of steak, beef steak, gourmet burgers, and also some cheese. Comté, for example, Morbier, Gouda, different type of cheese that you can find in the Netherlands or in France. So, back to what we have in our last glass. We are about to taste. Okay. We just finished tasting Clos Marémonge 2016, the first biodynamic vintage of Château de Pommard, which is made 100% by nature. So I hope you really enjoyed our experience. Do you have any questions on the different wine we tasted? So, I don't get any questions, so let me ask you a couple of questions. What is the wine you prefer? I get a few. Wine number 2. Wine number 2 was our Ladois Premier Cru Les Gréchons, and indeed it's one of my favorite, I have to admit. Then I get a few 1, a few 3, a few 4, and actually a lot of 5, which is Clos Marémonge, and I understand why there is so much complexity. The quality of the wine is outstanding. So, a question. What would you pair Clos Marémonge 2016 wine with? Fresh oysters, a sole meunière, a juicy lamb shank, or a spicy green curry? Yes, I get a lot of C, and you're right, it's a juicy lamb shank. What is special about the Clos Marémonge 2016 vintage? It's biodynamic, it's made by Emmanuel Sala, it's a very sunny vintage, it's produced on a single parcel. I've got a few D and A. So no, it's not produced from a single parcel. It's actually a blend from the different parcels we have in Clos Marémonge. But answer A is right. And actually answer A, this wine is the first vintage that has been made biodynamically. So thank you a lot. I hope you enjoyed the experience. Please be aware that we offer virtual wine experiences on a large selection of regions. You can get your experience with wine from Bordeaux, Alsace, or other wine regions, and topics related to wine. It's possible to find live courses, replay, or even book a one-on-one session with your instructor. After
je lis, c'est quand que je peux te l'emprunter, voilà. Donc ça, par exemple, c'est ultra moche. Donc comment est-ce qu'on peut faire pour que ça soit plus sexy, plus intéressant?
Ah, moi j'aime bien quand même, mais il faudrait que la couleur, ce soit une belle couleur, il faudrait que les justes polices soient polices.
C'est les couleurs et c'est les polices.
Ah ouais?
Ouais.
D'accord. Peut-être en minuscule, non? Ça n'irait pas.
Minuscule jamais pour un téléphone. Tu verras jamais que ce soit minuscule. Non, il faut que ça soit plus intéressant, il faut que ça se... il faut que ça s'ouvre.
Peut-être ça peut arriver A, B, C, D.
Ouais. Ensuite, à la fin, tu vas avoir un petit cercle qui entoure la bonne réponse. Ce sera pas mal.
Ouais.
Ouais.
Peut-être dans une autre couleur.
Ouais, oui. Ou sinon qu'on puisse transitionner, ta réponse A, ou je sais pas, un truc, mais... donc il y a pas mal de choses en fait, mais moi j'ai l'impression que la vidéo là que je fais pour Vivant, c'est le dernier truc que je vais essayer de faire pour Michael. Ensuite tout le reste, c'était bien, ça m'a occupé pendant un certain temps lorsque ça se concrétisait, mais je pense que ça j'ai assez à faire. Vraiment à tout repasser en peigne fin, apporter ce que les nouvelles modifications, plein de choses. Polish, comment se dit? Nettoyer.
Ouais. Bon alors du coup pour moi, moi de mon aspect, c'est vraiment avoir un 3-2-1 go, tu vois, quelque chose comme ça, ou 5-4-3-2-1 go. Avoir les bons scripts, faut que je les revoie encore, laisse-moi encore lundi, mardi pour re-regarder, que ce soit vraiment nickel, puis à la limite on le fait, je te dis, lundi quand c'est nickel.
Ouais, ok, ça marche.
Parce que je sais pas si c'est mes anciennes versions ou quoi, mais il y a des trucs qui m'allaient pas.
Ouais.
Donc faut que je repolish tout ça, et puis à chaque fois je vais mettre wine tasting, comme ça je sais. Que ce soit pas vous qui me dites, c'est wine tasting.
Et je pense que ça, il faut que, je sais pas comment, mais il faut que tout le monde ait sous les yeux, quoi. Et ça, toi aussi,
ça, c'est
je sais pas, quitte à ce qu'on mette un peu scotch sous la lumière ou quelque chose, mais qu'on puisse suivre un peu la trame et le sommaire.
En fait, pour moi, c'est très confortable quand même quand c'est prompté, je trouve. Et tu vois, par exemple, je pense que il faut qu'on ait un prompt pour toutes les lettres.
Ouais, je suis d'accord.
Tu vois, genre logo. Ensuite B, voilà, image, et puis après le texte qui commence à se dérouler, tu vois. Je pense qu'il faut comme ça, je sais où j'en suis parce que sinon, quand t'es dedans...
Non, mais
en fait, je fais attention à ce que je vais dire, mais du coup, c'est...
T'as fait un super boulot.
J'ai aucun doute sur quand je dois le dire.
Ouais. Et je pense qu'il faut tout qu'on mette, genre même la micro-phrase où tu vas remercier Emmanuel Sala pour l'interview, je pense. Il faut
ah oui, je croyais que je l'avais mise. Hein.
Non, elle était pas, mais il faut que...
Voilà. Et puis il faut peut-être qu'on remette les bonnes lettres.
Il faut là en fait on avait interverti,
Oui.
mais ça avait aussi des implications par rapport à là on avait au programme d'émission, mais on va refaire
mais
ça.
sinon le programme, comment ça se déroule, on est tous d'accord que ça va.
Ouais. C'est une structure qui est reproduisible par rapport à d'autres expériences. On était très systématique par rapport à ça. C'est pas si chaotique que ça, mais ça pourrait être plus propre. Mais ça va. C'était ça qui était super important, d'avoir ce diagramme-là. Ce diagramme-là, encore aujourd'hui, c'est la partition, quoi.
Ok. Ouais. Du coup, ce que tu as fait recorded, on peut le voir? Enfin, tu veux le mettre quelque part pour que je puisse le visionner? Voir comment ça va, enfin tout, en fait. Pour moi, c'est important. En fait, ce serait bien. Bon, la prochaine fois, on le refait nickel. Une fois qu'on est prêt, il faut qu'on forme un wine advisor.
Ouais.
Pour voir, et que je puisse être aussi spectatrice.
Ouais. Il faut qu'on forme un one advisor, du coup ça sera
mais là je suis
important de
spectatrice
tout savoir raconter.
Ouais. On
Moi,
pourrait prendre Preston par exemple.
Oui,
Preston,
vegan.
Preston avec Florent, c'est un bon meilleur. Je pense qu'il a l'air. Il parle bien anglais.
Ouais, il s'est bien débrouillé sur la route.
Moi, je me demande si on peut prendre un seul à côté. Donc, ici, il y a 2 semaines. J'avais vraiment plus la vision. Donc, cette télévision elle est sur un stand. Donc, le stand qu'on a à l'école. J'ai trouvé le deuxième stand. Donc, je ne vais pas coucher. On a failli faucher la télé ce matin. Puis, c'était trop lourd.
T'as pris ton câble USB?
Ouais, j'ai repris le câble USB. Mais je vais en recommander un. Je vais demander. Je vais essayer de. Je t'en recommande un pour l'école. Sinon, t'as pas de câble.
Oui, non, mais Thierry m'a dit qu'il le faisait.
Ok, parce que lui, on a fait un.
Ah, d'accord.
Donc, j'aimerais bien plutôt aussi être debout, tu vois. T'as le moniteur là, t'es debout, c'est beaucoup plus plateau de télé, voilà.
Oui, puis je pense que la gestuelle serait plus intéressante.
Ouais.
Sûrement.
Ouais. Donc emprunter ça pendant peut-être les 2 jours. Mais moi je pense que on va pas l'avoir. On va être 2 jours à. C'est comme une pièce de théâtre. Ça se travaille, ça se. Donc jeudi, vendredi, donc pas de cette semaine, mais de la semaine d'après. De toute façon, là ça va. Il y a de moins en moins, non? Il y a le lancement de Claude Marémonge marketing, mais on va essayer de ne pas s'en mêler. Toi, par rapport à tes formations, ça.
Ouais, ça roule. Enfin, normalement, il faut qu'on. Lundi, mardi, on va voir les stocks, les trucs. Non, moi, j'ai le lancement de l'école. Enfin, moi, j'ai quand même toute la partie Claude Marémonge, expérience à lancer pour les directs et pour les on-site. Donc, c'est pour ça que je serai là. Je les forme le samedi, après le jeudi, vendredi, là. Donc, je bosse là-dessus. Mais ma priorité, c'est ça. Et puis, il y a le lancement de l'école à Paris. Je voudrais que tout soit prêt pour quand on a les locaux, je puisse dérouler. Donc ça veut dire les plannings pour Paris, ça veut dire les textes pour Paris sur le site web, tout ça. Mais on va pas faire Resdi parce qu'ils ont changé. Avec Sessions, ça devrait arriver bientôt. Enfin voilà, des trucs comme ça. Et tiens, au fait, je sais pas si je t'avais dit, mais Michael finalement a retourné sa veste sur Marseille. Genre ça fait 1 an et demi qu'il me dit qu'on intègre l'école. Et puis il me dit non, finalement, je préfère qu'on se focalise sur Paris. En fait, le gros truc, c'est qu'il veut absolument que je bouge à Paris. Mais ce qu'il comprend pas, c'est que je reste pas dans le sud pour l'école, je reste dans le sud parce que il est mon fils, quoi. Donc là, il a compris que je montrais pas, que ça serait 50-50 et pas plus.
Et puis tu t'es très bien organisé avec des intervenants qui.
En Bourgogne, donc ça serait la même chose à Paris. Non, mais il n'y a pas de problème de fond. Je pense que dans ses rêves ultimes, il voulait que je bouge à Paris.
Ouais, je sais pas. Moi, ça me fait du bien de ne pas être à Paris.
Ah ouais, non, mais moi, je peux pas. J'ai fait 6 ans à Paris, je sais ce que c'est. J'aime bien, il y a plein de côtés positifs. Mais une fois que t'as un enfant et tout, non. Puis une fois que t'es dans le sud.